Hi there, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to
Recording in
I
progress.
wanted to get started asking about what interested you in becoming a part of the film. How did you become involved, and when did you maybe first read the script overall?
Yeah. So, I got my hands on the script working with a production company, Chicago Media Angels, who helped produce my first film, and they brought this incredible script by Michael Waller and Sidney Blackburn, and I read it, and I just was like, I was smitten with the world, and that like early 2000s AOL Instant Messenger chat room time that I think anyone who is, over the age of 28 can kind of identify with. And so I just was so excited about the opportunity to be able to kind of dive back into that world that felt really, really close to me. I was the same age as the main character in 2006. So
Recording stopped.
Oops. Get that back up and running.
Okay, yeah, I have a backup going, so yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, I was really excited about the chance to kind of dive back into that very, very intense, sometimes awkward time of being a girl. So yeah, I was really excited to be involved.
And then going into directing, what was that experience like on set and approaching the directing and figuring out how you wanted to make the film as well?
Yeah, so this was definitely a different experience. My first film I made with, I've worked with the same team for each film. I've made 3, and I've worked with the same team for each film, different actors. But this film was different in that it was a road trip movie, and it was a 2 actresses that I cast that I didn't know. And so there was a lot of like challenges with kind of getting to know everyone and I wanted to make sure that these 2 women who just met each other in person the day before we started shooting, that it felt like real sisters and that we had a real connection. So for me, the most important thing of all of it was the authenticity of their relationship. And after that, all of the shot listing and drawing the frames and all of that, the storyboarding, that became kind of the art that we built around their very authentic relationship. And so that's kind of how we approached it. That was the most important thing. And then all of the prep that we did before, I always say with indie filmmakers, the one thing that you have for free is your prep time. You can, in between jobs, in between whatever you're doing, late at night, I was storyboarding and planning, and that it helps a lot when you're, a lot of preparation helps you fly by the seat of your pants later.
In terms of the casting and finding the right actresses for the lead roles in particular, what was that process like in deciding who you wanted to star in the film?
Yeah, that was it was a really interesting process to go through casting and have auditions and see the different interpretations that these girls could be. I mean, there are so many ways that you can identify with people like them. They were written so authentically that it felt like any sort of honest interpretation felt like, oh, that's a really cool direction you could go. And but when it came to Zoe and Autumn, those were the ones that I could feel were them. And so it wasn't hard. I mean, the casting with the 2 of them, although it felt so important and so daunting, it came together really beautifully because the minute I saw Autumn, the minute I saw Zoe, it was like, oh, that's it. That's all we can do. Yeah.
Once they signed on, what was it like getting to work with them and building their characters with them? Did you have any rehearsal time?
We did not have any rehearsal time. So because they're both they're both just doing amazing things in their careers, and we didn't have a whole lot of time together before we started. Like I said, one of our actresses got there the day before we started shooting. So the girls didn't have a whole lot of time together. But what we did have was we had some Zoom meetings with myself and the girls, a few sessions where we sat around and played 20 questions with each other, and I gave them little assignments to come up with things together, and had them be in character and try to decide on what they were going to buy their mom for Christmas and have an argument about it, and little things like that kind of gave them insight. And then as we were working on the film, I would leave the camera running in between scenes when they were just riffing off each other and teasing each other, and I got a lot of great stuff just from there. So I think it was just like allowing them the time to kind of settle in and to get to know each other in a specific way that they could bring to the characters themselves. Yeah.
In terms of the camera work and the cinematography, how did you decide how you wanted to visually shoot the film and showcase like this era of like the early 2000s, and what was that experience like as well?
So my incredible DP, Wojciech Hilar, he's been the DP on all three of my films, and he and I have a shorthand when it comes to what we have the capabilities to do. We are always trying to push the envelope on what we can accomplish with limited resources, or with limited time, or with limited daylight, or whatever that is. So we love to push the envelope as much as we can. But I think for this film, the thing that was really fun was getting to, we were shooting on 3 cameras, and not all the time, but we had a main workhorse camera, a smaller camera, what we use for a mount on the car, and then we had our video camera. And it was so fun to be able to have a different kind of visual language for each one of those cameras. And then, I would give the girls the camcorder. There's a big part of the ending when they're running around this parking lot, and I basically handed the girls the camcorder, showed them how to press record, and then I said, go into this truck stop and be in there for 40 minutes and film whatever you want. And so we had so much beautiful footage of the two of them in character, like throwing things at each other and trying on hats and just being teenagers. And it was, there was a lot of good stuff that came very kind of authentically to us. We were lucky.
Yeah. And then lastly, to wrap up, I also wanted to ask about now with the film's premiere at Slamdance coming up next week, what that process has been like, and being able to bring the film to the festival as well.
Yeah, so Slamdance was the dream for this film specifically. Slamdance is known for real exciting new voices, and that is something that before we even started shooting this movie, we said Slamdance would be such a that would be the dream. And so when we found out, it was like, okay, shut everything else down. That's it. Like, that is the place that we're going. And they're so filmmaker first. They're made by filmmakers. It's not a festival. I won't name the festival, but I went to an indie festival last year, and the main movie that everyone was waiting in line for was a John Wick movie. Yeah. And I was like, that's not an indie film. Yeah. And what are we doing? So Slamdance is a real, an indie film festival for scrappy indie filmmakers, and I feel so honored that we were included in there. So yeah, we're really excited.
Well, thank you very much again for taking the time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Karen. It was nice to meet you.
Welcome. You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.